blood on the floor, handcuffs clicking, and a stretcher rolling out under flashing lights. No, this isn't a new crime series on Netflix. This is real, raw love and hip-hop level madness. Stevie J got arrested, Lil Scrappy ended up hospitalized, and the cameras, oh, they were rolling just not how producers planned. What started as a reunion special turned into an all-out war behind the scenes, and trust us, this wasn't no scripted drama. This was chaos dipped in betrayal with a side of switchblades and leaked confessions. What kind of beef gets so deep it ends with medics and mugshots? What happened backstage that was so explosive? Security had to break down a dressing room door just to stop it. And why is VH1 suddenly pulling episodes, going silent, and lawyering up like they just got hit with a RICO case? Something dirty went down, and baby, it's bigger than just Bambi, Scrappy, and Stevie. This ain't no love triangle. This is a setup, a takedown, a plot twist so messy it makes Scandal look like Sesame Street. So grab your popcorn, clutch your pearls, and keep your phone charged, because what we're about to expose might just burn the whole franchise to the ground. It all started with a reunion show that was never supposed to go this far. The production team had their cameras ready, the cast came in decked out for drama, and the audience expected shade and confessions, maybe a drink toss or two. What no one expected was sirens, blood, and arrests before the lights even came up. Stevie J showed up with his usual arrogance, sunglasses on indoors, button-down shirt open like he was auditioning for a soap opera. And that smug grin that screams, "I know something you don't." Meanwhile, Lil Scrappy was already backstage, pacing, sweating, clearly not himself. One production assistant said he looked like a kettle about to boil over, and they weren't wrong. Tension had been rising for weeks behind the scenes. Whispers of a secret project, betrayal, and fake friendships starting to surface. Scrappy, already on edge from his public breakup with Bambi, had just found out she was allegedly working on a new reality show pitch. Not just working on it, but starring in it. And who was co-starring? None other than Stevie J, the man who's built his entire brand off stirring the pot and watching it bubble over. Apparently, Scrappy wasn't just left out of the deal, was intentionally cut out. Sources say he found out about the whole thing days before the reunion taping, and he came in ready for answers, not apologies. That's when everything started to spiral. Right before the cameras began rolling, Stevie strutted into the green room with two mystery men, neither cast members nor crew. Just big, silent, muscle-bound shadows that made everyone uncomfortable. One assistant producer whispered that they looked more like bouncers than friends. Scrappy was getting mixed up when Stevie decided to make a grand entrance, walking past him, laughing loud, and reportedly throwing out, "Hope nobody's still pressed about that OnlyFans bag, 'cause some of y'all got left behind." The room went silent. Scrappy stood up slowly, placed his phone down on the table, looked Stevie dead in the eye, and said, "Say it again." And you know Stevie, he didn't back down. He smirked, stepped closer, and whispered something in Scrappy's ear that no one will repeat, but everyone says changed the entire temperature of the room. What happened next wasn't scripted. It wasn't reality TV. It was raw. Scrappy lunged. Chairs flipped. One of Stevie's guys tried to intercept but got slammed into the wall so hard a lighting fixture came crashing down. Someone screamed. A production crew member yelled for security. And Stevie. He was laughing until he wasn't. Scrappy, reportedly, landed two solid punches before security got in between them. Stevie was holding his ribs, looking winded. But the real madness started when Stevie allegedly reached into his back pocket and pulled out a small silver blade. Not a prop, not a joka, real switchblade. The room exploded in chaos. Security tackled Stevie to the ground while Scrappy stumbled back, clutching his side, clearly injured. Paramedics were called immediately. Stevie was handcuffed on the floor while still yelling Bambi's name like a curse. Scrappy was wheeled out on a stretcher, blood on his shirts, lip busted, eyes wild with betrayal and pain. And yes, the cameras were still rolling, but producers are now scrambling to hide the footage like it's classified. Word spread fast. By the time Scrappy arrived at the hospital, TMZ was already outside the emergency room. A nurse reportedly told her cousin, who told the blogs, that Scrappy came in semi-conscious, slurring his words and showing signs of internal bleeding. And if you think that's where it ends, oh no, the story only gets messier. Mama D pulled up to the hospital like a woman on a mission, fur coat and fury on full display. She gave an impromptu press conference to whoever would listen. Blaming Mona Scott, VH1, and especially Stevie J, "They tried to play my son," she shouted. And now look at him laid up in a hospital bed because of that devil in designer sunglasses. Meanwhile, Stevie was being processed at the station, charged with assault and possession of a weapon. But the wildest part? His team claimed he was the victim. That's right, one of his reps said. Stevie was ambushed. He came to film a reunion, not a cage match. Which might have been a stronger defense if someone hadn't leaked surveillance footage showing Stevie lunging toward Scrappy just before the room blacked out. And then came the whispers. Was Scrappy drugged? A leaked ER report allegedly shows unusual substances in his system, heavy sedatives that weren't prescribed and shouldn't have been there. One anonymous crew member even claimed that Scrappy was acting strange before the fight ever started, stumbling, forgetting lines, mumbling to himself. If that's true, then this wasn't just a fight, it was a setup. And guess who was conveniently offset when everything exploded? Mona Scott. The same woman known for pulling strings behind the scenes like a puppet master at a circus. She hadn't been seen all morning, but the second the fight broke out, she was conveniently unreachable. Fans are already speculating that the whole thing was manufactured drama that spiraled too far. Okay, some believe the fight was intentional, designed to boost ratings, create viral moments, and sell a new spin-off that didn't include Scrappy at all. Others think Scrappy's meltdown was genuine, a man pushed too far, surrounded by betrayal and lies, and caught in a world where everyone profits from his pain. But what we do know is this wasn't an accident. This was a carefully lit fuse. And once it ignited, there was no putting the fire out. The show is now under investigation. Production has been paused. And legal teams are circling like vultures around a fresh scandal. Nobody's talking on record, but anonymous leaks keep dropping like rain. Producers are allegedly scrubbing footage, editing timelines, and trying to figure out how to salvage the season without exposing themselves to lawsuits. Because make no mistake, this isn't just tabloid fodder anymore. This is a liability. And the deeper we dig, the uglier it gets. And just when everyone thought the fire had died down, it erupted all over again, this time with even more chaos, more betrayal, and more damning receipts leaking out by the hour. Scrappy hadn't even recovered from the bruises on his body before the internet started dragging his name through the mud, and Stevie J. That man went from smug to silent in under 24 hours. VH1 immediately went into full-on crisis mode, yanking promotional posts, pausing scheduled shoots, and issuing a hollow one-liner about cast safety that convinced no one. Meanwhile, social media was eating the scandal alive. Twitter turned into a courtroom, Instagram became a crime scene, and Reddit. Oh, Reddit had timelines, screenshots, zoomed-in video stills, and audio breakdowns. One post even claimed you could hear Bambi's voice in the background right before the fight saying, "Get him out of here now," which fans instantly declared the smoking gun. Behind closed doors, lawyers started circling like bloodhounds. Scrappy's team reportedly filed an official cease and desist to Mona's production company, demanding the raw, unedited footage of the altercation, alleging that his rights as a cast member were violated and that he was put in harm's way, knowingly. But what sent the whole situation into overdrive was a leaked text exchange allegedly between Bambi and one of Mona's top producers. The messages, now viral, included one line that read, "Let 'em pop off. We need something big to close the season." That was it. That was the moment the entire internet snapped. People started saying the fight wasn't just allowed, it was engineered. Calculated explosion crafted by producers who saw Scrappy's pain as promo material. The betrayal wasn't just personal anymore. It was professional, public, and permanent. And then came the hospital leaks. First, it was just talk of a dislocated shoulder and a few bruised ribs. But then came reports of mild head trauma, psychological distress, and yes, sedatives in his system, sedatives he did not consent to taking. One anonymous ER nurse claims Scrappy kept saying, "They set me up," over and over as he slipped in and out of consciousness. Meanwhile, Mama D wasn't just making noise online, she was filming her own footage. That's right, Sis showed up at the hospital with her own camera crew, announcing her self-produced docuseries called The Betrayal, reality TV's dirtiest secrets, claiming it would expose the entire machine that turned her son's life into a circus. She called out names, pointed fingers, and labeled Mona Scott the queen of manipulation. "She don't create shows," Mama D shouted into the lens. "She creates casualties." And don't think Stevie J was just sitting back chilling. His team was working overtime, scrubbing his socials, removing comments, and releasing a bland legal statement insisting Stevie had been physically provoked and acted in self-defense. But that didn't stop fans from digging up every shady moment he'd ever had on camera. Clips of him instigating, gaslighting, manipulating, being the chaos agent everyone knew he was. Then came the Bambi twist. She went live again, full glam, sipping white wine, smirking like she'd just won something. "Y'all swear y'all know the story," she said, "but half of y'all wouldn't survive a day in my shoes." Her comment section exploded. People called her out, accused her of betrayal, of using Scrappy as a stepping stone, of being in on the setup. And still she didn't deny anything. Instead, she said, "Just wait for the premiere." That one sentence had fans convinced this was all part of a rollout. The new spin-off Bambi and the bad guy, which hadn't even been officially announced yet, suddenly became the most talked about show that didn't exist. And get this, multiple sources confirmed Bambi and Stevie were in Mona's office. Together, the week before the reunion, paperwork was seen, contracts exchanged, and not a single mention of Scrappy's name. It was never supposed to be part of it. It was being written out quietly, strategically, and violently. And that wasn't the end of it. Surveillance footage from the backstage holding area leaked, showing a blur of motion, Stevie lunging, Scrappy shoving past a producer, people screaming. But the key detail, a blurred figure blocking Scrappy's path moments before everything popped off, someone wearing a production headset. That image sparked a whole new theory that someone was planted to provoke, delay or corral Scrappy just enough to make sure the cameras were ready when the drama began. Producers denied it. Insiders didn't. And now the entire franchise is under fire. VH1 producers were reportedly called into emergency legal meetings. And some insiders claim the network is reviewing potential breaches of cast safety and ethical protocol. Translation: they're lawyering up because someone's about to get sued. But let's not forget the internet memes exploded. One viral post showed Scrappy in a hospital gown with a quote bubble saying, "They tried to write me out, I wrote back in blood." Another edited Stevie J's mugshot into a fake movie poster titled The Setup, a reality TV conspiracy. Some people were laughing, but most were horrified. This wasn't just messy reality TV anymore, it was starting to feel criminal. Meanwhile, Scrappy hadn't spoken publicly. Not a tweet, not a post, not a quote. His team said he was recovering both physically and emotionally. But behind the scenes, word spread that he was in talks with other networks, Bet, Zeus, even a documentary deal with HBO Max. One exec allegedly said Scrappy's not a liability, he's a whistleblower now. And baby, the offers were stacking up. But what really lit a fire under this situation was what came next to diss track. That's right. Just a week after the fight, Scrappy dropped a 3-minute track titled Backstage BRAWL. And he did not hold back. The lyrics were raw, angry, and loaded with bars aimed directly at Bambi, Stevie, and the network. Used me for a plot, tried to write me out the frame, but I broke the script and flipped the whole game. Fans lost it. The track went viral, hit the iTunes hip-hop charts, and suddenly Scrappy went from a victim to a viral anti-hero. But as all this unfolded, the courtroom came calling. With criminal charges filed, lawsuits pending, and production on pause, the love and hip-hop brand found itself in a freefall. Mona Scott, the queen of controversy herself, was nowhere to be seen. Her team issued no statements. Cast members were told to go radio silent. But you already know the truth doesn't stay buried for long in this business. More leaks were coming. More secrets, and the fallout. It's just beginning. And then came the final blow. The courtroom doors swung open, and suddenly, the chaos that began backstage turned into a full-blown televised legal circus. Minus the cameras, but double the drama. Stevie J showed up freshly released on bail, dressed like he was going to an after-party instead of a court hearing. While Lil Scrappy arrived, looking worn out, shoulders still in a sling, lips pressed tight like he was holding back a storm. No cameras were allowed inside. But that didn't stop courtroom leaks from pouring out faster than VH1 could send out CC and diss letters. A junior paralegal, who apparently has no understanding of NDAs, spilled the tea to a gossip site within hours. The opening arguments were a disaster. Stevie J's team painted him as the peacemaker, a misunderstood reality veteran who just wanted resolution, while Scrappy's lawyers threw fire straight into the mix, calling him a pawn manipulated by producers, blindsided, drugged, and emotionally ambushed. Then came the moment that turned everything upside down. Bambi walked in, full glam sunglasses in court, looking like she was about to drop a music video, not testify in a legal proceeding. The entire room went stiff, and then she spoke. She claimed under oath that she had no idea Scrappy would be at the reunion taping. That day, that she was told by production Stevie was being brought in to spice up her confessional scene, but no one mentioned Scrappy would be filming nearby. The courtroom gasped, but that wasn't the kicker. The kicker was the screenshots. Leaked DMs between Bambi and a producer, where they discussed how letting him pop off would be TV gold. One message even said, "He'll take the bait. He always does." That's when Scrappy reportedly stood up in court and shouted, "Y'all played me like a game." The judge banged the gavel, called for order, but the damage was already done. Mama D was in the gallery, whispering Judas, all of them, while fanning herself with a sequined Bible like she was about to catch the Holy Ghost and a lawsuit at the same time. But it wasn't just drama, it was dangerous. Hospital records leaked by a close family source translation. That one cousin who works night shift revealed Scrappy was diagnosed not just with physical injuries, but something dubbed psychological betrayal trauma. Is that a real diagnosis? Probably not. Does it feel accurate? Absolutely. And it wasn't just him. His legal team submitted documents claiming the entire reunion episode was a reckless orchestration of emotional abuse for entertainment purposes. They even hinted at a class action lawsuit involving multiple cast members. Meanwhile, Stevie J went silent, deleted all his posts, unfollowed everyone, and reportedly checked into a Miami hotel under a fake name to avoid paparazzi. But that didn't stop a viral clip from surfacing, an old behind-the-scenes moment where he jokingly told producers, "Y'all don't care what happens long as someone bleeds." That quote turned into a meme, a protest chant, and even a remix track on TikTok. At the same time, VH1 tried to play damage control. They issued a generic statement claiming they take cast safety seriously, have paused production, and are reviewing internal practices. But fans weren't buying it. A petition demanding VH1 released the raw footage gained over 60,000 signatures in 48 hours. People wanted to see it all, the fight, the lead up, the shady producer whispers, everything. Editors were reportedly pulled from other shows just to sort through hours of chaos footage to figure out how much legal cleanup it would take to bury this scandal. But the internet wasn't waiting. A former intern who now calls herself Lola exposed on TikTok dropped a 4-part series detailing what she claimed were internal memos between producers orchestrating the Scrappy setup. She had timestamps, fake names blacked out, and even a recording where a woman's voice that sounded suspiciously like Mona said, "I don't care if they fight, just get it on camera." That soundbite exploded. It trended for 3 days. And just like that, Mona Scott's name went from power player to public enemy. Bambi, meanwhile, continued posting like none of this was her circus. Selfies with captions like booked and blessed, skincare ads, and one no-deleted story that read, "Y'all really believe everything you read, huh?" The comments section, of course, was not forgiving. But the mess wasn't done. In the middle of all this, a surprise announcement dropped. Scrappy had signed a deal with a major streaming platform to produce a tell-all docuseries, not just about the fight, but about everything: fake storylines, backdoor deals, lies sold as love, pain turned into punchlines. One executive reportedly called it the exposed love and hip-hop never wanted but absolutely deserves. And then came the final twist. Scrappy's diss track, Backstage BRAWL, hit number 4 on the iTunes hip-hop chart. In the track, he named names, dropped dates, and called out Moana, Bambi, Stevie, and even VH1 itself. One line had fans screaming, "Y'all gave me a script, I gave y'all the truth. Now watch me burn the whole stage down." It was raw, it was angry, and it was everything fans had been waiting for. Critics called it the most emotional verse in reality TV history. And just when it seemed like maybe, just maybe, the dust would settle, Mama D dropped the teaser for her podcast Throne Talk, Royal Family Secrets. The first episode, How to Spot a Snake Before It Bites. The second, The Devil Wears Mike Packs. VH1 has gone radio silent. Stevie J's passport may or may not have been flagged due to pending charges. Bambi canceled to club hosting. GIGS Mona Scott is reportedly reevaluating future projects, but the fans, they're still watching, still speculating, still picking apart every angle of this disaster. 'Cause in the end, this wasn't just a fight. This was a full-blown explosion of trust, lies, and a machine built on exploitation finally cracking under its own weight. The question isn't who threw the first punch anymore. It's who wrote the script, who held the camera, who let it all happen, and who's going to pay for it. 'Cause this saga isn't over. It's only getting louder. So now that you've seen the receipts, the betrayals, the bruises, and the backstabbing, it's time to ask the real questions. Was this all a setup? Was Scrappy really just a pawn in Mona's reality chessboard? Or did Stevie and Bambi mastermind a betrayal so dirty it deserves its own documentary? And let's not forget that fans, y'all, have been the real investigators, breaking down every frame, catching every whispered word, and dragging the truth out of every corner the network tried to hide. So don't let the fire die here. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you believe? Who's really to blame? Are you Team Scrappy, Team Stevie, Team Bambi, or Team Burn the Whole Franchise Down? And if you want more exposes, more leaked audio breakdowns, more chaos you didn't ask for but can't stop watching, then smash that like button. Hit subscribe and turn on those notifications. Because the court dates are coming, the uncut footage is still locked in a vault. And you already know when it comes to love, hip-hop, and lies. We're just getting started. Stay messy, stay curious, and stay tuned. Because in this game, the truth isn't just stranger than fiction, it's the whole damn show.